Good afternoon. My name is Cathy Linds. I'm the founder of Gather My Lost Sheep, a trauma-informed initiative in the United States. Today, I want to talk about a gap in safeguarding. Not a gap in intention, but a gap in the evaluative framework we are using. The gap is this. When an adult reports abuse by a member of the clergy, we ask the wrong question. Dr. David Pooler at Baylor University has conducted the most comprehensive national study of adults who have experienced sexual abuse by clergy. 39% screened positive for PTSD. That is higher than among combat veterans. Fewer than 10% reported to their church. Of those who did, not one reported an overall positive response. Not one. These are not the outcomes of consensual relationships. They are the outcomes of abuse. And yet the institutional response consistently frames these situations as affairs. Dr. Pooler's essay is titled, "It is not an affair, it is abuse." Dr. Pooler found that 62% of those harmed were in a counseling or spiritual direction relationship when the abuse began. A 2022 European study confirms the same. Approximately 3/4 of all clergy abuse cases begin in pastoral care. Dr. Peter Malinowski said, quote, "The abuser takes the place of God, speaks with the voice of God. This leads to a loss of spiritual freedom," end quote. Consent frameworks were not designed for this relationship. Current safeguarding asks, did the adult consent? Dr. Pooler is direct. There is no other helping profession that views sexual interactions in the way we allow ministers to get away with. And from Dr. Malinowski, the consenting adult's framing fails to appreciate the uneven power dynamics. The question fails because the framework does not account for the power structure of the relationship they are actually in. St. John Paul II identified human formation as the foundation of all priestly formation. When that foundation is incomplete, what follows? Dr. Malinowski conducted psychological evaluations of seminarians for 15 years. He found that most spiritual abuse is not malice. It is unmet attachment and integrity needs. And because these leaders do not understand themselves, they cannot see the impact on anyone else. This is not a critique of the priesthood. It is the church's own formation teaching, naming what happens when the foundation is absent. The pastoral relationship becomes the place where unmet needs are met through control. Dr. Evan Stark defines coercive control as not one behavior, rather a system operating across multiple domains over time. In the pastoral relationship, 5 sources of authority operate at once: spiritual, sacramental, institutional, communal, and relational. No other helping profession concentrates this many sources of power in a single relationship. Where coercive control is present, it moves through all 5. Dependency builds, alternatives are isolated. What looks like consent from the outside may be the person doing the only thing that has ever kept them safe. The slide shows 4 patterns by which coercive control drives the dismissal of adult clergy abuse. Let me focus on the third, institutional silence as control. Non-response, delay, and narrative management extend the original coercive control pattern into the institutional response itself. Dr. Malinowski found that denial persists because acknowledging the harm would collapse the very self-image, the attachment and integrity needs the leader depends on. When safeguarding asks whether the adult consented, it encounters behaviors that look like agreement. What it is actually encountering are survival responses. These are adaptive responses to overwhelming circumstances, not free agreement. Let me show you what this looks like for one person. She is a trauma survivor. She does not want to go to the priest. She wants to go to God. The priest is the only door she knows. She brings him the most sacred thing she has ever written, her wound, given to God. He takes it and seals it inside a secret between them. It never occurs to her to think of a priest that way. When she reports it, she is told she misunderstood the relationship. That is the gap. Safeguarding asked, did she consent? It should have asked, what does consent look like for someone who believes she was standing before God? Safeguarding is trained to look for an incident, a bruise, a single event it can date and document. Coercive control may not leave any of that. Those statements on the screen, that is what it sounds like. Undermining reality, spiritual coercion, reputation attack. This is one version of coercive control. What matters is not any single one, it's the pattern over time. The slide makes this visible. Same system, opposite outcomes. This is coercive control operating at the institutional level. The same mechanism, scaled up. Secular legal systems are moving ahead of church law on exactly this question. 14 states have criminalized adult clergy sexual abuse, treating clergy like therapists. With recent legislative action, that number continues to grow. Consent is not a defense where authority and dependency are met. Researchers have identified a fundamental flaw in how the church conceptualized vulnerability, a model that locates vulnerability as a characteristic of the person rather than a situational and relational condition produced by the power dynamics of the relationship. Conditions that the 2021 canonical update does not yet recognize. The law is recognizing the power dynamic. Safeguarding must do the same. These four patterns are not culturally specific. Culture amplifies them. In some contexts, reporting a priest means being cut off from your community entirely. Silence is not a choice. It's a condition of survival. One pattern, many contexts. If the evaluative framework remains consent-based, the same dismissal will happen everywhere. Instead of did the adult consent, ask what power was present in this relationship. Was there coercive control? Was there spiritual or institutional dependency? What responses that look like consent were actually survival? We are not evaluating actions, we're evaluating conditions. If we do not recognize coercive control, we will continue to dismiss abuse we are responsible to see. Dr. Pooler's 2025 recovery research found that the single most potent healing factor was being believed. Not therapy, not legal accountability, being believed. When we build safeguarding systems capable of seeing what has actually happened, we create the conditions for people who have been silenced for years to finally be believed. That is not a small thing. That is the beginning of what the church is called to be.